Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable Miss Mary Agustini, MPD, as a lecturer of research on English language teaching. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Dewi Samini. I am from English Study Program, Batu Raja University. So here I would love to present my research about students' ability in translating from English to Indonesia at English Study Program of Batu Raja University. First, I'm going to explain about the background of study. English in the world of globalization, which is very important as it is using as an international language for a number of purposes ranging for academics, news, business, diplomacy, profession, to entertain. In Indonesia, English becomes an essential language subject of education issues. Indonesia government admits English as the foreign language that is taught in Indonesian students. Translation is considered as the fifth in learning the foreign language beside the other four language skills are listening, writing, reading, and writing. Translation is considered as the fifth skills in learning the foreign language besides the other four language skills are listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Mastering translation is important for the students of English education program since they learn the foreign language. The important thing in translation that we have to know is the fact that every language has its own system, structures, and rules. Every language has different in arranging word by word to phrases and sentence, and in paragraphs also the essay. Next is about the problem of the study. First is limitation of the problem. In the study, the writer focused only of the student's ability in translating argumentative text in English study program of Batu Raja University. And then, the formulation of the problem. Related to the problem statement, formulation of the study is what are students' ability in translating argumentative text from English to Indonesia. And then, the next is the objective of the study. An objective of this study is that the writer wants to find out of the student ability in translating argumentative text from English to Indonesia at English study program of Batu Raja University. And then there's also the significances of the study. In aspect focus on describing ability in translating from English to Indonesia by the students at English study program of Batu Raja University. First, for the writer, the study is estimating to give the knowledge for the writer. While as the writer that is estimated become an English teacher in the future, it is estimating to become a good reference for the writer in teaching the translating text by an understanding ability at English education of Batu Raja University. And then also there is for the students, this study expect the student will know about translation methods and make them better for to translating to the text from English to Indonesia, as they're learning to find a solution that can make them easier translating the text. Then also for the TOEFL, for the TEFL, to inspire the teacher to determine the model of learning appropriate the material and condition of learners. And then other writer. It can inspire to other writers to conduct further studies of translating in English to English, in Indonesian to English. It's about the theoretical framework. And the first, it's about the concept of translating. Briefly in 2016, translation is the general term referring to the transfer of thoughts and ideas from one language or source to another language or target. Whether the language is in written or oral form, whether the language have established orthographies or do not have such standardizations, or whether one or both language are based on signs, as with the signs language of the deaf. And then Newmark 1987 stated that a translation is rendering the meaning of a text into another language in a way that author intended to the text of the act of translation. Very briefly, it is the act of transferring meaning of the traits or a unit's language, the whole of part, from one language to another. Newmark also believes that it becomes a craft and an art to make creative translations. He states that translation is a craft consisting in attempt to replace written message and statement in one language by the same message and statement in one language by the same message and statement in another language. According to NIDA and Tabor 2016, translation is rewriting of the message contained in the source language into the target language to find similarities. As the definitions above, see translating as a process of reproducing in the receptor language the closest natural equivalence of the source language message. First, in terms of meaning, and secondly, in terms of style. And then there is also the concept of ability, and then there is also the concept of argumentative text. According to the Catherine 2009, an argument is whether written or oral is different from an opinion. An opinion is based not so much on evidence as on belief, intuitions, or emotion. Argument, on the other hand, is a position supported by clear thinking, reasonable evidence, with a secure connections to solid facts. While arguments rarely prove that a conclusion to be absolutely true, they do demonstrate the probability of the normal, traditional argument, the process of establishing, through the presentation of appropriate evidence, the certainty or likelihood of a particular point or position. And then next is about the related preface study. The preface study, the writer that becomes the references to the study is the first study conducted by Iwan Kurniawan with the title The Analysis of EFL Students' Ability in Translating Text from Indonesia into English at Lampung State Islamic University. The aim of this study are to know the ability of UIN Raden Intan English Department to translate text from Indonesian to English, and to know errors made by students translating. The methodology employed was quantitative content analysis with a research instrument. It's a rubric. Results show students' translation abilities in UIN Raden Intan English Department are very good, with 9 students. It's a 33.4%. Fair with 8 students, 29.6%. Good with 5 students, 18.5%, and bad 14.5%. And almost excellent with 1 student, 33.7%. This study becomes the reference to the writer to make a study with the similar title translating in English into Indonesian and level of students. And the next is about the method of the study. In conducting the study, the writer used descriptive quantitative method. According to the Creswell 2012, a qualitative research study is needed to explore this phenomenon from the perspective of distant education students. Then, in describing students' ability in translating from Indonesian into English, from English into Indonesian, the writer gains quantitative research in which the writer will collecting the data, analyzes them, and draws the conclusion. To carry out the study, the writer will do the following step. First, the writer will give an English text to the students, and the writer will read and judge the quality of their translation based on the numerous kinds of translations. And then the writer will categorize the quality of translation into 3 criteria of accuracy, credibility, and acceptability. And then the last is the writer will calculate the percentage of respective categories. And then next is about the population and sample. First, about the population of study. According to the Johnson and Christensen 2014, a population, sometimes called the target population, is the set of all the elements, and it is the large group to which the researcher wants to generalize his or her sample results. In other words, it is the total group what you are interested in learning more about the few possible populations are the citizens of the United States. Population can be divided into kinds: target of population and excess of populations. Target of population is a population that has been planned in the research planning, and an excess of population is population that can be accessed when the researcher determines the number of populations, or said Arikunto 2010. So the population is to the study is all the students at English study program of Batu University, consists of 2 classes with 22 and 13 students in a classroom. And in this population, to the study all students at English study program of Batu University consists of 2 classes. First is the second semester, with 24 students, and then for the fourth semester with the 25 students. And then the sample of the study. Sample means a part of the population that will be observed. Random sample is a sample drawn by a procedure in which every member of the population has an equal chance of being selected. One way to visualize the drawing of a sample random is to think about the health model. Here is how it works. First, go to a good head store of buying top hat. Next, make one slip of pink paper for each individual, and the population applies all of the slips in the hats. So that's the simple example of the population of the sample of population. So the sample populations of the student at Batu Raja University for the second semester with 11 students, and then for the fourth semester with 7 students. And the next is about the technique for collecting data. In collecting the data, to this study, the writer used a test of argumentative text. A test is a systematic procedure of describing the ability of the aid of a numerical device and category system. And the test contains 15 items. The test in the form of written test. And the next is about the technique for analyzing the data. According to Nababan 2012, explained that high quality translation should have 3 aspects, namely accuracy, and then readability and acceptability. Once the data will gather, the analysis of the data will use at the end of the study. The data will analyze by using descriptive quantitative. In this analysis, there are important steps. The technique of the data analysis is a process to analyze the data that have been collecting to get the conclusion. The writer will retain students' ability in translating the argumentative text. The writer will use some criteria in analyzing data. And then the first step is collecting the students' answer and giving score by analyzing the answer. And then tabulating scores, the writer account the data and explain it in the table. Maximum score is 3. In scoring, the writer will do the following some criteria.